SoFi stock was down 3.5% last week. It's down almost 6% on the month, up 7% in the last 3 months, and up a whopping 98.43% in the last 6 months. So SoFi stock has been looking bullish in the last 6 months, but it's just hit resistance around about $32, and in the last 4 to 5 weeks is looking indecisive. It might be just moving sideways and consolidating, or perhaps distributing before it either moves back up or falls away, potentially back into the longer term trend. So in this video, I'm going to share a price analysis for SoFi stock, offer my thoughts and opinions on whether this is a stock you should buy now. Let's take a look. I'd like to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/DavidB for the 5 best stocks to buy now. Use my special link to get $200 off their epic annual subscription. Now, if you find value in my analysis of SoFi stock today or other stocks on my channel, you may also find value in my new channel membership. I've just launched the Trader tier. It's available now, and if you subscribe and join the membership for a monthly fee, I'll share with you buy and sell signals for ASX 100 and NASDAQ 100 blue chip stocks. You'll gain access to a Google Sheet with my buy and sell signals, and also access to a members only exclusive monthly video where I talk about and discuss the buy and sell opportunities and the rationale behind why I think they are the best trades available. So if that's something that may interest you as a medium to long-term swing trader, check it out below. So looking at the weekly chart for SoFi stock, you can see this has been in a lovely uptrend in the last 6 months. Now, if you've watched any of my previous videos covering SoFi stock, you would know that I put a buy signal on this fintech stock back in May and June, where you can see on screen, why that was. It broke a confirmed downtrend line, confirming the trend was reversing. And since that time, it has trended up beautifully before hitting resistance at about $32. And I suggested a sell signal about 2 or 3 weeks ago based on this uptrend line being broken. Now, since that signal, you can see it did try to move back up, but it's facing resistance here at about $30. And so since this peak back here, it's sort of consolidating sideways. So we don't know yet whether this price action here is consolidation and it's going to move back up and break 32, or there's actually more selling to come and actually this is distribution before the price might fall away and test these lower levels down here. So first of all, let's review this trade that was available for SoFi stock. You can see here we had a confirmed downtrend line based on the price action here. We've got this peak here and peak here, so minimum of 2 peaks. We can see it trending down and finding support at about $8.50. Now if I zoom out, just look at the long-term price action, we can see since it was listed, it did move up to about $28 to find resistance. It was sold off, bounced back up to 25, sold off again, and then bounced back up. So you can see here on 2 occasions, $25 was a key level of resistance. So it's important to note that price level for this trade opportunity. So it tried twice, couldn't get through, massive sell-off between November 2021 and this level here, $4, January 2023, so a few years there. Now, since that time, 422, if I zoom back in again, since that key level here, SoFi stock then started trending up long term. You can see here it making a high here, it fell back to create a higher low at about 445. Very bullish few weeks here to create this price high about 1174. It then created another higher low before it did trend down, but eventually found support at another higher low at about $6. And this was in July 2024, so about 18 months ago. This was the start of SoFi's bullish breakout and real move upwards. It really pushed up hard. Buyers came back in around about the $6 level, and it was bought up before it reached resistance at about $18 before the sellers took over for a couple of months. It was sold back down to about $8.60 before starting the most recent medium-term bullish uptrend. And we can see the confirmation of that 6-month bull run from this point here in April 2025 up until the most recent peak here. It was a clear and obvious break of the confirmed downtrend line, offering you confirmation that the trend was changing and to get ready to enter this stock. So we can see the trend line break here in April, that week commencing the 21st. Big trend line break. Second week then, obviously, it closed low, but created this high at about 14.50. Now, that was 2 breaks above the trend line on the weekly chart. So if you use the double break rule, you could have entered then the week after around about 12.52 on confirmation. But the rules I shared in the video for SoFi stock, and feel free to go back and check them out, I combine trendline theory with Dow theory. So basically, I wanted to see a retest of the new price action. So we've got that break of the trend line here to create this peak of around about $14.50. So that was the first break of the trend line. Now, it's important to see what the sellers have got after the trend line break. Are they going to sell the stock off, and is it going to move back down to here, and you have to wait a longer period to get that confirmation? That didn't happen. Sellers could only take the price down to this level here and then here. You can see the lows getting higher, and then it wasn't until this week here. So it broke above this week here, couldn't close for the week, no confirmation. But this week here, Monday 16th of June, this week it broke the previous peak and it closed above for the week, confirming buyers want to take the price above this level here. And therefore you could have entered on confirmation, combining trendline theory and Dow theory, on this bar here, which this week commencing 23rd of June, it opened around about $15. So that was your entry point. So you can see on screen, I've got that green line there just indicating the entry around about $15. And then up here, got some details of the trade. Stop loss 12.73, that's the red line here. And you can see I placed that stop loss basically underneath this price trough here. So basically, if price action breaks this red line here, you've got it wrong. You want to exit the trade to protect your capital. You can see on screen, I've got some profit targets for this trade. The first one was around about $18, and that corresponds to this possible level of resistance here. The second one I put in was take profit 2, which was $25. As I mentioned earlier, if we zoom out, 25 relates to these 2 peaks back here where SoFi found resistance back in 2021. So that was the second level. So you could have taken profit there. Obviously, take profit 1 was an obvious level because of this marker here, but you can see during the time where it approached that level, it was bullish. It punched straight through, no resistance. So you would have been silly to exit there because it was so bullish. So stay with the trade up to take profit 2, which is around about $25. And you can see here, it did punch through there quite aggressively. So you could have sold out there, but it was looking good. And after this level here, you can see it pulled back into $25 support. You've got a few troughs there where you can add a trend line, and then rather than using objective levels on support and resistance, you can use the trend line to guide your trade management and exit strategy. So once the line was applied to the chart, you can see there was a new push up to $32 after this pullback. So it pulled back to 25 to test the sellers. It then had another 4 weeks up to 32 before it faced resistance. And since that time, SoFi has faced a lot of selling pressure. It fell back as low as 23 3 weeks ago, but it does look as if now it's trying to move back up. But based on my rules, the trend line was broken this week here and this week here. So you've got 2 weeks closing underneath the trend line to signify selling pressure, and therefore you could have sold here on this bar on the open at $27. So you can see here $27, trend line break. The risk to reward from that $15 entry was 5.32, giving you an 84% return, which is a fantastic medium-term trade. So if you took that trade or any part of it and you made profit, well done. I'd love to hear your comments on what you used to enter it and whether you were able to grab, 80%, perhaps 60%, also a great low risk trade based on objective rules. The big question is now, is SoFi finding support here, and is it going to break above 32, or is it going to fall further? Well, we've got to wait for the chart to confirm. One thing to think about, if I zoom out on the chart, we can see we've got this long-term trend line here from this significant trough back here at 420. So you can see long-term, SoFi moves up and down, but these lows are getting higher, which is very positive. SoFi can't be sold off lower than the previous low, showing it is moving up overall long-term. Now, since August 2024, SoFi has been more aggressive in its price action. It really had a big breakout here before it was sold off. And you can see the price action is moving a long way away from the longer term trend line and is a very steep angle. But this angle here is similar to this one here and this one here. So we know that SoFi can move like that. The most recent bull run over the last 6 months was also a similar angle. Now we can see from this last run here, once it hit resistance, it was sold off quite aggressively as the move up. So the risk right now is, will SoFi be sold off, back into $18? It is possible. Let me show you why. From this move here, we've got a big bullish move up, but at the same time, the next sort of 8 to 12 weeks, there was a big sell-off before this big bull run over the last 6 months. Now, right now, we've had a low here, and SoFi is trying to push back up. Will it meet resistance at $30 or even try 32 again before potentially it moves back down into a move potentially into $18? Could it be 15? It's possible. Remember, we are a long way away from this long-term trend line. It's a long way away. So stocks can't go vertical forever. They have to recover and consolidate. So potentially in the next few weeks, are we going to see price action test 25 again? And if it breaks 25, is it going to come back and test $18 support? If it does and reverses there, it's a great opportunity to enter the stock and then trade it back up to 32 and potentially beyond. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you bullish on SoFi stock long term? Did you take this recent 6-month trade with SoFi stock? I'm keen to know what you used to enter and exit the stock. Perhaps you're still in it. Perhaps you didn't take that trend line exit and you believe it's consolidating right now before it's going to break 32 and beyond. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.